Hey, WVTM 13 Chief Meteorologist Jason Simpson. Looks like we've got some weather changes ahead for us. And three really big factors in the weather through the middle of the month are going to make or break how things look around here through the rest of the month of June. First of all, you know the smoke is out there. It's one of the hot topics around the country right now. All that smoke from the wildfires up in Canada really causing a stir across the nation. And this is a loop using nighttime imagery from the CSEP geosphere. This is really cool. There's a website where you can get this data. It's not necessarily a television product. We don't usually show this on TV, but I just wanted to give you an idea what you're looking at. All the purple right here, that is mostly smoke and haze. That also happens to be the area of the country where we had practically no thunderstorms today. Same thing up here over southern Canada, the Great Lakes. But then you start to see the bright spots here. Those are likely ice crystals from cirrus clouds or the tops of cumulus clouds. In fact, you can see that line right there. That's called the Terminator line. Yeah, right. So it's moving west because of the Earth's rotation. We lose the visibility to use visible satellite imagery, which is what you're looking at over here in the Rockies. You can even see some of the shadows there over Colorado and Wyoming and New Mexico and Texas. So there's the smoke. There's a band of showers and thunderstorms. And look over North Alabama. We had some locally heavy storms here, and we had a suppression around Birmingham where there were some storms. Irondale really got pounded, but not that much elsewhere. A little more smoke down toward the Gulf Coast in spots, but boy, it is really, really thick up to the north. And look at the difference in the sky over Alabama just today. This is from my buddy Tech Roach, Captain Wombat on Twitter up in Huntsville. That is smoke filtering out the sun so that you could actually see the circle. And here is a look at that downpour that formed over Irondale and Trussville from Hueytown, from John Talbot. Look at the blue sky here versus the haze that was up over Huntsville. What's going to happen around here tomorrow is a lot of that smoke, a lot of this that you see up here in Vermont, it's not going to get this bad here. And I mentioned this on TV this afternoon. If you remember, if you were around back in the mid-2000s, the year 2007 in central Alabama, we had a sky that looked a lot like what you see right here from Burlington, from the NBC station there, which happens to be one of our sister stations in the Hearst Corporation. The sky looked like that. The air quality, code red. I mean, it's as bad as it gets. I'm seeing stats on Twitter like it's as bad as smoking like 6 cigarettes in a day. So this is significant smoke to the north, and as it comes south, it's not as low to the ground. It's kind of dispersed throughout the atmosphere, and although you can't see it here on the satellite and radar using the infrared, you look and you can see the effect of it. Remember where we had the thick smoke over Tennessee? Nothing. No storms. We had the little thin spot here over north central Alabama, Winston, Cullman, Blount counties. We still got a few isolated storms going on. Then you had another little batch of smoke farther to the south where it kind of suppressed it. Tuscaloosa to Montgomery, and then south of there, it was a lot more clear. So here's what's going on with it. We got that big low up to the northeast. See this thing spinning over Newfoundland and Maine and Massachusetts. This big low spinning here. So everything gets caught around it. The fires are up in Canada. So the really thick stuff kind of goes this way. We are going to catch the southern fringe of it on Wednesday for sure. So if you thought it was hazy around Huntsville and Decatur today, Shoals, Nashville, Fayetteville, the Smokies, it really gets thick coming up on Wednesday. It may be almost as thick looking as it was up in Vermont around Nashville and the Cumberland Plateau on Wednesday afternoon. Around North Alabama, maybe not quite as bad. And then south of the Birmingham area, Tuscaloosa, Shelby County, Chilton County, you'll notice it. The sky won't be as blue, but it overall just won't be quite as thick. So how does this impact the rain chance here across Alabama? Low chance on Wednesday. The smoke tends to suppress that. Thursday, we get a cold front coming in, and then Friday and Saturday, I think there's enough dry air that we just don't have to worry much about it. Here's moisture for rainfall. So let's talk about rain. A lot of folks need some rain around here, and if you don't get it Thursday, I think Friday and Saturday are practically dry. There's just not much hope for rain when we have this kind of air in the month of June. That is really low humidity. But then look at this. On Sunday, a surge of moisture here. So I'll tell you what I think is going to happen. We are primed for something called an MCS, a mesoscale convective system on Sunday. And it could bring some really heavy rain to parts of Alabama and Mississippi, maybe even Tennessee, Sunday night through Monday morning. And we're talking maybe 1 to 1.5, 2 inches of rain for some communities, and then most of us get at least something out of it. So if you're parched right now and you need some rain, that's your next best hope, because then we dry out a little bit. But then watch what happens next week. We get into this pattern where there's just a lot of moisture around through the middle of next week, and I think rain chances are going to go up. But if they don't, then we could be in for some real trouble when it comes to heat later on this month. So this is forecast rainfall from the 18Z, or the midday Tuesday GFS. And look up here to the north. I mean, there's just a lot of rain here. Now, some runs of this model pull that farther south. Southern Tennessee, North Alabama, even parts of Central Alabama. This is about as far north as I have seen it. So the consistency is for that band of heavier rain to be right here. But as I made a comment on my Facebook page earlier, consistency doesn't always mean accuracy. A model can be wrong 4 times a day and 6 times on Sunday if it wants to. It's the data in isn't always going to be perfect, so the information out isn't going to be perfect. But keep in mind, if we get none of this, then what awaits us could be some really serious heat. Maybe a first big heat wave of the season, potentially some of the hottest weather so far this calendar year. The average high between June 12th and June 16th would be about 88, the average low about 66. In the CPC, Climate Prediction Center, highlighting an area where there's a moderate chance of excessive heat over Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, a slight risk around Alabama and Mississippi and Tennessee and Missouri. And you may be asking yourself, well, haven't you used those words before for severe weather? Sure have. The entire system of NOAA has really adopted that kind of ideology when it comes to this. And we talk about the probability here. So what does it mean? Slight means a 20% chance of what I would call a heat wave over Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi. Some of our ensemble guidance giving at least a 10% chance of hitting 100 degrees in the next 7 days. And this is the operational run of the you got to be kidding me model, the GFS. You're reading that right. 103, 104, 101, 101, 100. That would be out toward the 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th. So about 10, 11, 12 days from now. This is something to watch because it's a legitimate threat. Now, a week ago, the same model was projecting that Wednesday and Thursday and Friday would be close to 100 degrees. And clearly that's not happening. So take it with a grain of salt. But if we miss the rain, think about it this way. If we miss the rain Sunday night into Monday and then don't get good scattered storms right here, well, all of this out here probably comes true, at least upper 90s. And it will be a real scorcher at that. So here's the Central Alabama 7-day forecast. It looks like a few storms on Wednesday, and I'm going to get into the details here. Highs in the low 90s, an isolated storm, wind out of the northwest, sky getting hazier, especially across North Alabama. Thursday, a few scattered storms, mainly in the zone over west and central Alabama. Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, maybe a better chance than Cullman and Gadsden and Huntsville this go around. Friday, the humidity starts to drop. It should feel nice and comfortable Friday morning. How about that? That's worth a smile, isn't it? In the 50s in Cullman and Cleveland and Pell City and Huntsville and Florence. In the low 60s, Birmingham and Tuscaloosa. Then we go back to getting hot in the afternoon. It's hot and dry on Saturday, the high close to 90. Then Sunday, and here's where things start to get interesting for us. Does this rain actually happen? We get a little push of moisture from the south. This would be almost sea breeze thunderstorms. They can get as far north as certainly Highway 80, if not sometimes I-20, depending on the wind. And then we start watching this cluster of storms back to the northwest. What does it do? Does it come into northwest Alabama and just really give us a pounding? Or does it fizzle out and only give some of us some rain? Well, those are questions that can't quite be answered just yet. But I do think there's a good chance of scattered storms here Sunday into Monday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. We're going to hold out hope that rain sets in.